Well, good evening, everyone. Let's hear it for the Mayfield Express. Wasn't sure if I was supposed to dance my way out here tonight or what, but that sounded incredible. Well, for those of you I don't know, my name is Dr. Rick Tritley. I'm the 10th president of Viterbo University, and tonight it's an honor to welcome you to our annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Celebration. First, I'd like to say welcome to our campus. Many of you have been here before, and we're so glad that you keep coming back. Many of you may be experiencing the Viterbo campus for the first time, and we're so happy that you're here, and we hope that you will join us often as we host a number of community events throughout the year. It's been a special day on campus today as we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Day. This morning at 8 a.m., over 200 of our students and employees participated in community service at over 20 different locations around the city, braving the cold and doing good things for others and making our community stronger. This afternoon, our students continued with the educational process as we had a series of guest speakers and panels talking about different aspects of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And tonight is really our highlight for our annual Dr. Martin Luther King Community Celebration, where we will have the opportunity to honor some of our community members who have gone above and beyond. And we will also get to hear from a phenomenal speaker, the Reverend Alexander G. So we're sitting in a place that those of us at Viterbo are very proud of, and that's the Viterbo University Fine Arts Center. If you're not familiar with our history, over 50 years ago, some of our Franciscan sisters of Perpetual Adoration had a bold vision to bring the fine arts to this region. And because of their tenacity, their vision, and their ability to go out and sell their vision and raise the money, today we have this amazing conservatory, really a state-of-the-art theater that brings famous acts to the La Crosse region and really provides a source of entertainment and community building for all of us. In this special place, members of our Conservatory for the Fine Arts, our students are educated. These include our music theater majors, our music majors, and a host of others who have the opportunity to perform on this very stage and hone their craft. We bring in, as I said before, performances from all around the country who come here, whether it's a music theater production, and sometimes it's educational opportunities with famous guest speakers and panelists. This place gets incredible usage. Last year we had over 90,000 visitors to this theater. And tonight we're going to continue that education with some very important messages that Dr. Martin Luther King brought to us. And we'll do that with a phenomenal guest speaker tonight. So in keeping with that spirit, I would just like to close with one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King said, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." God bless all of you. As we like to say here at Viterbo, pace bene, peace and all good. Enjoy the evening. Have a wonderful time.
Greetings. I'd like to welcome the Mayfield Experience. on this significant occasion, the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration and the 60th anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. I'm Choya Woods, and I want to share why this celebration is deeply meaningful to me. My journey led me to become the founder of Melanin Beauty Bar. This establishment is more than just a salon. It's a reflection of my commitment to inclusivity and the celebration of diverse beauty. My journey, Melanin Beauty Bar was born from the recognition of a gap in our community, an absence of deliberately inclusive spaces, inspired by the belief that melanin embodies living beauty. The salon aims to welcome everyone with open arms, appreciating the unique beauty found in each individual. Can you tell I've been doing this for like 20 years? As we gather here to reflect on Dr. King's dream, I invite you to consider the tangible steps we can take toward realizing that dream in our communities. Melanin Beauty Bar is a small contribution to this vision, emphasizing the importance of embracing diverse and acknowledging the beauty inherent in every individual. Thank you for being a part of this meaningful celebration. May today be a reminder that just like Dr. King's dream, positive change starts with recognizing and appreciating the unique qualities that make each of us who we are. Thank you. Wherever you are. I'd like to welcome Cortell and Shondell to the stage to announce the Blackman Lowry Award.
Good evening, folks. Good evening. How we doing today? Good. Blessed to be here. We are here to present the Linda Lowry Blackman Award, or Blackman Lowry Award. The Linda Blackman Lowry Award recognizes local first and second year high school students who embody the spirit and principles of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. The award's namesake is Linda Blackman Lowry, who in 1965 was the youngest person to march from Selma to Montgomery with Dr. King. On Bloody Sunday, she endured physical and emotional abuse and trauma. In Lowry's memoir, Turning 15 on the Road to Freedom, she tells youth, with determination, you can be a history maker, just like me. Our nominees and award winner are living proof of Linda Blackman Lowry's words. Their courage to take action for rights and needs for every person, their involvement in organizations that break down systematic barriers, and their everyday examples they set inspire us all. We would like to recognize our nominees for their commendable efforts. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until all nominees have been named so we can applaud you and your efforts. First up, Jalen Calvert from Central High School. Stay standing now, stay standing. Okay. Sarissa Miller Tillman from Logan High School. Quentin Ramos from Central High School. And Liv Vogler from Onalaska High School. Okay, and those are our nominees. Thank you.
All right, hello folks, I am Shondell, and I have the privilege of introducing this year's recipient of the Linda Blackman Lowry Youth Leadership Award. And I'll just say when I first met this individual with their involvement in Onalaska's Black Student Association, blew me away. And in my head, and I'm gonna say it out loud, I was just like, she has an awesome personality and she will definitely impact this world. And so it's no surprise that she's receiving this award today. So let me just give you a little background and then I'm gonna ask the awardee to come up to say their speech. Imaya Martin, a sophomore at Onalaska High School. She is the new drum major in the band and an active member of the show choir. She loves expressing herself through music. One of her favorite things about the music community is the dedication of her band and choir mates and the positive energy at competitions. She appreciates that everyone supports each other, and her number one goal is to show students from diverse and different ethnic backgrounds that you can achieve anything you want. That's too close. Sorry. She knows it's hard growing up and not seeing your race represented. She lives in a predominantly white neighborhood, so no matter what she does, she stands out. Imaya knows what it feels like when you don't belong, and she doesn't want that to happen to other students. Imaya is also an active leader in the Onalaska Black Student Association, helped with the school's Ho-Chunk land recognition, and served on a panel of youth speaking to school staff about the experience of students of diverse backgrounds. When she was little, she dreamed of being a role model for other students. She wanted students to look at her and know they belong because of their differences. Today shows that she is one step closer to her goal, to help more students show their true selves and express who they truly are. So at this time, can you join me in bringing Imaya Martin, this year's 2023 Linda Blackman Lowry Youth Leadership Award recipient, to the stage.
Thank you so much for being here. This is an amazing place to be. I am so grateful and thankful for every person who's nominated me and every teacher who stood up for me in any kind of possible way. As you know, my name's Imaya Martin, and I am very, very proud to say that I am the drum major of Onalaska High School, and if you ever can, please cheer for us, because we are doing really good, and I'm really proud of our freshmen that are coming in. Just gotta, support our school. But this event means a lot for not only me, but for all people of different cultures and different ethnicities, and this is amazing to see everybody here, even though it's very cold outside. My mother gave me the talk when I was in 3rd grade when we moved here in Onalaska, and I never truly realized that, people would call me out because of my color of my skin or things like that until I became older, and I've been pushed down, bullied before. I've been called slur names that should not ever be used. But those things have only pushed me further into becoming a leader for more people who may feel like me. It doesn't matter what your background is from. And I really want to make that across from where I'm standing today. I once felt like I wasn't black enough because of stereotypes and because of mean rumors that would go around the school. And for last year, there was a problem with students that are white males saying the N-word. And I stood up and talked to the principal and students and around, and now I no longer hear that. And I just love how Onalaska High School, our teachers, pairs, any adult there, make sure that nothing pushes you down, because we're here to learn and become leaders and evolve into what you want to be. You are shaping yourself into your career that you want to take that you might even change when you get into high school. And I am very, very grateful to be in Alaska High School. So thank you all for being here.
Yes, give it up for So, today we're presenting you with this plaque that says to honor your sacrifice and recognize your dedication to working for justice by increasing awareness and addressing equity and racial representation at your school and in the community. So not only that, we will also be awarding, this award is fortunate enough to come with a scholarship for all of our youth. And so we will actually be giving you a check for $500 on today. So, thank you.
I would like to welcome Bridget to the stage.
Good evening. What an incredible privilege it is to be here with all of you tonight, honoring the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It has been 60 years since his I Have a Dream speech, yet Dr. King continues to be a symbol of hope and courage for so many, especially in our current climate of adversity and divisiveness. Tonight we celebrate his work as we rise to meet today's challenges, and we are so fortunate to be honoring someone who encompasses all that he stood for. Please help me welcome to the stage Will Van Rosenbeek. Will Van Rosenbeek has served as the director of the Pride Center for the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse for the past 22 years. His demonstrated leadership and advocacy spans 3 decades of building a better community both on and off campus. Will, a UWL alum with a master's degree in student affairs and administration, is a voice for social justice at many intersections. In 2010, Will received the Dr. P.B. Poorman Award for Outstanding Achievement on behalf of LGBTQ people, and in 2011 was recognized with the Fair Wisconsin Leadership Award for Activism. Will's connections to students goes beyond the Pride Center. He has taught both introduction to LGBTQ+ studies and understanding human differences throughout his UWL career. Prior to UWL, Will served as a community services specialist for Cooley Cap, where he led and coordinated youth programs including the Community Youth Initiative, MLK Day Teach-In for middle school youth, and the MLK Project. The MLK Project partnered with UWL to coordinate week-long freedom rides for high school students both from La Crosse and Milwaukee. Traveling with future change agents to communities steeped in civil rights history solidified his commitment to social justice work both in his career and personal life. As a board member for the Seven Rivers LGBTQ+ Connection, Will started Trans Forum, a support group for adults who identify as transgender and non-binary, and he continues to volunteer on the selection committee for Habitat for Humanity's home ownership program. Will's journey with nonviolent social change started in spring of 1992 when he attended UWL's alternative spring break to Atlanta, Georgia. This is where his fire for social justice, civil rights, and advocacy began. Will currently resides in La Crosse with his partner, Tara. With all of that being said, I am beyond blessed, honored, and overjoyed to introduce tonight's 2024 Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Award recipient, Will Van Rosenbeek. And I would just like to read what's on this plaque. Will Van Rosenbeek, for your years of dedication to intersectional equity work, for your commitment to creating tangible and permanent systemic change on campus and in the community, and for promoting radical hope in a future that is for everyone. That is incredible. Congratulations.
Moves. Good evening, everybody. First, I want to congratulate Imaya again. What an incredible young person. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your story tonight. That's awesome. I just want to start by doing a few thank yous. I'd like to thank everybody for the acknowledgement in this award. It certainly means a lot to me. I want to thank my colleagues who nominated me, Barbara Stewart, Stacy Narcata-Welp, Dr. Andrew Ives, and Dr. Darcy Toon. I also want to thank the selection committee for this recognition. And I want to thank all the students, faculty, staff, and community members and people that I've met along the way who have called me out for my privilege and for my BS. Thank you for that. So getting to this place really has been a journey, and I thought I might as well just kind of put it all out there tonight. We've all been given one life to live and lead, to do our best, and to be the best for our world. I'm not going to tell you how to do that, but I can tell you, for me, it was my desire to always be the best me that I could be. Growing up, I didn't really have a clue that I was a good person. And that I could impact my school or community. I wasn't even sure I wanted to stay alive. But I had teachers and leaders that showed me that they cared and that they encouraged me, and that meant the world to me. Their love and attention was just what I needed to keep going to school, to attend clubs, and to feel like I belonged. My experience supports the research from the Trevor Project that says that LGBT youth who have one accepting adult in their life can reduce the risk of suicide attempts by 40%. Just one adult. I was lucky I had several at school and in Scouts. As an adolescent, all I wanted to do was to get out of my alcoholic and violent home, and I struggled with my own addiction and depression. At age 18, I was caught drinking at school. I chose to tell the truth with my school counselor and agreed to go to treatment. This allowed me to get help and the tools that would help me stay sober. I also listened to my teacher who suggested that I apply to one more college when every college in Milwaukee had already said no. When I got accepted at UWL, it meant I had the opportunity to leave my family mess behind. I was leaving Milwaukee and my family. I was starting over. Being the best me has meant working to stay sober for 33 years. It has meant, thank you. It has meant coming out as a transgender man, even though I feared for my relationships, my jobs, and the future. It means continuing to address my trauma, depression, and anxiety, even though it's painful. This work was and is essential for me to be the best me, so that I could see beyond myself to be able to listen and learn from others around me. What are our needs? What is your story? How can I make a difference? I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to go to on a civil rights trip to Atlanta with UWL, and then later take lacrosse and Milwaukee Youth on Freedom Rides. I learned a history that I never really truly knew or understood. I met amazing people who survived hate, violence, discrimination, and inequality. Their courage and truth humanized the struggle that would challenge me to be brave in my actions towards making nonviolent social change work. they showed me just how each one of us can make a difference, telling us how we can make nonviolent social change work. I want to thank Sarah Coleman, who's out in the audience tonight, Guy Wolf, and Jay Scott, who's also in the audience tonight. Without these people, I would not have embraced this work and may not be standing here tonight. I remind myself regularly of two Dr. King quotes. The first, "The time is always right to do what is right." These words were spoken at Oberlin College in Ohio in 1964. Dr. King was encouraging students to continue to use nonviolent social change to keep fighting for racial equality. Many times in my life, I have found myself so angry and frustrated with myself, with other people, with my community, our state, our country, the world. At times, I get to the point of feeling and thinking that maybe violence is the answer, or that there's nothing I can do to make a difference. This quote reminds me that every day I can do something to help others, and I can do good. Some days I'm better at this than others, of course. The other quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," comes from Dr. King's 1963 letters from a Birmingham jail. For me, this is a call to action, especially when I am feeling defeated or hopeless, and in the last couple of years, that's been a lot. I need to remind myself that what impacts one impacts all, and I am part of that. I cannot sit and do nothing when the rights of another are being taken away. I must stand up, volunteer, donate, write letters, vote, talk and tell others about what's happening. I may not be able to change the entire world, but I'm determined to make a difference in my neighborhood, place of employment, community, and state. Finally, I want to thank the person that has been on this journey with me for 32 years, who is in the audience too, the love of my life, Tara. She encourages me, loves me, supports me so that I can attend meetings, volunteer, join boards, speak up and out, march, write letters, and I donate a lot of our money to local agencies. Thank you, Tara, I love you. I just want to thank I want to thank all of you for this award, this recognition, and the renewed energy to keep doing the work. Thank you.
With a grand round of applause, let's welcome the Viterbo University Concert Choir with Cheyenne Clark, Lauren McElroy, Dodie Whitaker, and the Mayfield Experience. Reverend Dr. Alexander G. is the CEO of the Center for Black Excellence in Culture. He is also the founding lead pastor of Fountain of Life Church and founder of the Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development, as well as its renowned initiative, Justified Anger. G is a published author, adjunct faculty community activist, life coach, international lecturer, and relief worker. Dr. G is considered a serial social entrepreneur, having started 4 successful small businesses and initiatives that currently employ nearly 40 staff. In recognition of his work within the local community, Dr. G has received numerous honors, such as the 1994 Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Humanitarian Award from the City of Madison. Dr. G studied at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Fuller Seminary, and Bakke Graduate University. He is the author of 2 books and host for the awards-winning podcast, Black Like Me. Please give a wide, grand round of applause for Reverend Dr. Alexander G.
Good evening, Viterbo community and Greater La Crosse community. How are you tonight? Can we give it up for that choir again? That was a pleasant surprise. That really helped me to feel at home. I am really grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the invitation. I don't take it lightly when organizations invite me or communities invite me to be a part of any meaningful celebration, but particularly one that recognizes the contributions of one of our heroes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But I want to just thank the committee that invited me, your president, Dr. Tridley, Dr. Colleen, Dr. Kite, Mr. Spivey, and others who invited me to be here. Special shout out to one of my high school graduates or classmates, Professor Laura Huber, who represent class of 1981 from Madison West High School. I know I'm aging myself there a little bit. Listen, I am really happy about sharing my heart and inspiring this community about thinking about Dr. King's legacy and what it means to us. And one of the things that made me really excited about coming was that it didn't appear to be just about your campus, but the broader community. I know I'll be addressing high schoolers, middle schoolers tomorrow. And so the fact that the community is working together is just really, really important. It's not just one organization, so I appreciate that. It's been a rough couple of weeks. I recently lost my mother, who wrestles with a long battle with Alzheimer's. I'm a 60-year-old mama's boy. I was her medical power of attorney, and so much of what I learned about leadership and scholarship I learned from her. So my heart is a little bit heavy over that. But because of that, it allowed me just to tweak my speech just a little bit. And so I might not get invited back again, so I figured I'd still go ahead and just take this opportunity. Not that I'm gonna do anything bad, but it's just a little different because I really want to speak from my heart about things I've noticed about her life. And the other thing I want to say is that I was so determined to get here. I spent the past several days, about 6 days in Southern California, before the snow hit Wisconsin, then before it hit it a second time. And then the deep thaw came, the polar vortex came. And then, you had a brother driving north and northwest. So if you can even get colder from Madison, I'm driving up here from there. But listen, I switched my flight that was gonna go through Dallas in order to get me back in time to be able to get ready and drive here today. They said travel alert in Dallas. And I thought, they don't know how to take care of weather, handle weather in Texas. I'm gonna reroute myself. So I called American Airlines, rerouted myself through O'Hare. I figured at least it would be close enough so that I could get back. They canceled one flight. They switched me to United. Didn't know where my baggage was. They delayed the 8 o'clock flight to 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I've been here before. When they delayed it to 11, I said, I know where this is going. They're gonna cancel this flight. They're gonna put me on a flight tomorrow morning. It's gonna get me to Madison really late. I'm not gonna get to lacrosse in time. Everybody on lacrosse is gonna hate me. And so I did something I never did before. I Ubered from O'Hare to my home. I just wanted to see if it would work. I put in my home address and what zone I was at O'Hare. 5 minutes, driver showed up and said, so we're going to Wisconsin. I was like, look, crank the heat. Are you okay? Are you good? Are you rested? Because I need to sleep because I've got to get rested up. And so I got home at about 1 o'clock this morning. Beat the last bus that was going to come out of O'Hare to Madison because I really wanted to come and just share my heart and to be with you today. You know, I'm thinking about Dr. King and how would he feel about the MLK Day celebrations today around the country? Would he be motivated? What would he think about it? How would he feel about being misunderstood? Because he's always depicted as this palatable, very much kinder and gentler black male, you know, compared to, you know, Malcolm X. And so, but yet he has such a strong message because nonviolent was not the same as being non-threatening. Because he wanted to challenge the status quo. And we only take the nice little sound bites from him, but he was pushing America to be better. And what were the cost of threats on his life? And if you take a look at some of the old videos, particularly some of those that were done in color, the look of worry and fear and even just being resolved with his own death in his eyes. If we see the I Have a Dream speech and been to the mountaintop, but if you look at him in his eyes the past just a few days before his murder, you know he knew something. The threats were coming. He applied constant pressure on the American conscience to not merely go through political motions, but to do the humane and the right thing that benefits the entire country. That he wasn't just trying to advance black people. He was trying to advance America. He was trying to advance the fabric of his country. He was trying to advance the ideal that we could work together and live together and love together. And it cost him a great amount. And what I'm committed to, is helping those who are pausing to recognize or commemorate his life, to think about what are we willing to pay? What are we willing to sacrifice in order to make that dream a reality in our lives? And so my speech tonight is entitled, The Cost of Hope. Because hope is very costly. I recently turned 60. I was born in 1963. The I Have a Dream speech was 72 days old when I was born. We watched it with some type of historic rear view, but it was brand new. People hadn't memorized it yet. It wasn't a thing that people were reciting, but it was still new on the lips of American people. My mom pushed, and in some ways also pulled at my birth. How would this country see and treat and respect a black male in 1963? Then 2 years later, when my sister was born, how would America see her? Would they over-sexualize her? Would they just see her as an object and not as a thinker, someone who was intelligent? Would they see her son as a threat, as a criminal, before he even had a chance to crawl or speak or walk? But she had to believe in this new reality. Mothers in the 60s had to believe, black mothers in the 60s had to believe in this new reality in order to stay sane and to raise their children outside of the fear that they had experienced, that my mother had experienced as a sharecropper. People often ask me, are you a first-generation college student? And I said, well, kind of. I'm the first of my generation to go, but actually my family moved to Madison from Chicago in 1970 for my mom to go to college. And so my mother dropped out of school after about 3 or 4 years because she was taking like 21 credits, like a nut, trying to get through, because she was an intellectual and didn't know it. Dropped out of high school when she was 13. So when I was a junior at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, I dared my mom to come back to school with me. You don't dare, Miss Verlene G. She came back to school with me. We had 3 classes together. She became the cool kid in the class. I don't want to see about my mom, because how you gonna pick up young ladies and your mama sitting right there with you? she started answering questions, and then all of the kids who I wanted to be known by started sitting by my mom. Can we study together? Can we hang out together? So I was like, Mommy, can I come to your study group? She graduated a semester before I did. And then won a full fellowship to grad school and graduated with honors with her MSSW from Wisconsin. And I think about that life and being the squeeze. And so not only was I the first college graduate in my generation, not including my mama because that's the next generation, but I'm the first generation in my family's history in this country to not pick cotton for a living. Here's just the reality where we are, folks. So just in case anyone's waiting to stand and talk to me afterwards and say, are we better? I'm the first. Those of you working in student services probably have on your docket to work with students who are the very first generation to go to college. The real question is, what did your parents do? My mother and father both picked cotton. And they had this sense and this hope as little children as they moved to the north and met each other, my father from Mississippi, my mother from Missouri, in order to hope in a brighter future for their families. When I think about this, I want you to stay with me because I'm trying to go somewhere with this because I want us to think about the heaviness of the issue of hope, the heaviness of the issues of racial disparity, the continued legacy of racial disparity in this country, and yet our abilities to address it if we're just willing to. And I'm just wanting to put some information in your hearts and your minds, some stories in your hearts to begin to think about what your role will be in moving this agenda ahead and not just watching others do it. When I think about my mother's generation, and I think about the generation of my mother-in-law, who's just a few years younger, who was also just diagnosed with dementia, I realized something in common, and their peers are experiencing the same thing. And this is being experienced in a lot of other in a lot of other racial groups. But because I work really closely with the Center for Alzheimer's and Dementia Research in Madison, because of its impact on my family, and because I'm one of the founders of the Black Leaders for Brain Health, and I've helped to write a couple of white papers on the impact of this disease on the Black community, I'm understanding that it's not just Black people, but we're getting it faster than anyone else. And so I'm the guy that raises his hand to some of these meetings to ask some of these questions. I'm the guy that's asking questions because while we're growing, we're not in the medical trials, which means that we're not sure if the new medicines that are being developed, like abuminidab, is going to work on Black people. And I know I used to think, well, aspirin works on everybody. You know, Tylenol works on everybody. That's not true. At one point, the HPV shot had to be pulled from the shelves because it was killing Black women. Because Black women were not in the trials, and the assumption was it would not harm them but hurt them, and it was killing them. And so now in this field, we're understanding that Black people are dying more quickly of dementia. And the leading causes of dementia are stress-related issues like hypertension and dementia. And many of those, not according to the NAACP or the Urban League or Black Church Society, but departments of public health and schools of family medicine, is based upon and exacerbated by the microaggressions that people of color face when they are in predominantly white spaces and people are not willing to pay the cost of hope. And they create barriers that are unnecessary and are unnatural. And that stress is building up inside the bodies of our elders and is causing them to be ill. They're the generation that came to age in the middle of 50s. They integrated American society, or they even tried to. They marched, they followed, they suffered, they voted eventually. They believed and they hoped. That generation, I'm a pastor, so I'm doing their funerals. I'm visiting them in hospitals, and I'm just noticing the preponderance of certain issues, and particularly dementia. They've raised their children in society to believe that they would overcome. We all would someday. And they hope that everyone would find hope in a unified America. It's interesting to me, as my mother-in-law wrestles with her issues of dementia, She goes, and she's very quiet. I mean, quiet. Hardly ever talks. When guests come by, she goes to her room. She's hardly speaking. But when dementia hits, she goes back to her Selma roots. I've been married to her daughter for 35 years. I've been in the family for 40. I've never heard her talk about Selma. I've never heard her bring up these things. But yet, in the midst of her dementia, when the EMTs came by just to check on her, my calm, peaceful mother-in-law said, "Why are y'all coming to take care of me now? When I was young, you wouldn't even let us have water in your house because they were all white." She starts spouting off this stuff that I'd never heard her say. And it made me wonder, how much of America's racial issue have black women and black men and people of color swallowed and held inside them and hoped and dreamed and worked and crossed their fingers and believed and hoped and was disappointed and hoped and disappointed and hoped. As I'm watching these things come back, I'm fearful. And I'm thinking, it used to be that we wanted fair access because we wanted Johnny to read. We wanted everyone to read. We wanted everyone to have access. But now I'm finding the physical impact, the social determinants of health for the black community that's rooted in racial disparity and racial discrimination. It's elevated my game and my work that I'm not asking people to merely like folks that are different, to merely buy houses next to someone that's different, to merely hire someone who's different. I want people to understand that when we don't eradicate the stress of race and racism and racialized living in our society, it's killing a group of people who have built this country and have helped it to be what it is. And so as I began to think about my mom becoming a mother at the rise of Dr. Martin Luther King's life and what she hoped and what he promised and what he offered, certain communities did their part. But I think that there's a broader community that's just sort of waited for the rest of the community to catch up. We want to see how you're doing. Are things better? We're watching. This is going to pass. You marched. Dr. King came. This is getting better, right? I think about my mother-in-law's stress. She was raised in Selma, Alabama. My wife was born in 1963. The Voter Registration Act happened a few years after that. If you know older black people, Jacqueline was a very popular name in the early 1960s because black people were naming their daughters after Jacqueline Kennedy, even though they couldn't vote for President Kennedy without fear. I never thought I'd be one of these young old people reflecting back saying, well, back in my day. But what I'm saying is, when I was younger, it was ancient history. The more gray I get, and the more wrinkles I get, and the more stressed I become, I begin to realize 1963 was not that long ago. And so when people ask me, are we doing better? I'm asking them, are you seeing more inclusion? Are you seeing more diversity? Like, I don't ask female pilots, are we doing a better job with hiring more female pilots? Because I'd see them. As much as I fly, I'd see them. So why ask something if it's not occurring? We're asking the wrong questions. And we need to ask. We need to ask. How is it that we've come to this place, and what do we do to turn it around? I was in Head Start when Dr. King was murdered. I remember being sent home from school, Delano Elementary School, when I was in Chicago. I remember coming home and just watching violence erupt. It's one of the earliest memories that shaped my life. I lived on the third story of a flat with my family. I can remember looking to the north and seeing Madison Street just on fire. And my mother saying, get down on the floor, get down on the floor, because people were rioting and they were shooting because hope was deferred. There's a passage that says that hope deferred makes the heart sick. Fannie Lou Hamer in 1964 said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that generation had hoped that America would value it. They had hoped that America would turn around. They would hope that America would listen to someone. And when Dr. King passed away, they weren't sure that others would take up the torch. And although I do not condone that type of violence, I can only imagine these children of sharecroppers, these grandchildren of slaves who were led to believe that one day we'll vote, one day we'll live, one day we'll buy cars, one day we'll be able to buy property, one day we might even run for public office. And they weren't sure if broader society would pick up the torch with them. Augustine of Hippo, the 4th century philosopher and theologian, said hope has 2 beautiful daughters. Their names are anger and courage. Anger at the way that things are, and courage to see that they do not remain as they are. It's interesting, as I've written articles, as I've created this movement called Justified Anger, where I just talked about the issues and how we address it, it's interesting, more people question my anger, but never question their apathy and lack of courageousness. They were upset, like I was gonna blow something up or explode, but they always questioned my anger, but they never questioned their lack of courageousness. For this to work, we need all hands on deck. Anger is simply an emotional response to pain and fear. It's not necessarily destruction, it just means that you're responding because there's pain and fear. And I still have it. I still have it. I'm a black man with an advanced degree, but when I drive in rural Wisconsin, when I drive outside of Madison where I know the chief of police and I know the sheriff, I'm just more cautious. My brother's a police officer. It's not like I think officers are awful. I'm not even trying to insinuate that. But the fact that I think those things. When Ahmaud Arbery was murdered, my wife begged me to not go on my evening walks that my doctor prescribed in order to bring my blood sugar levels down. And for years I didn't, because our street is sort of on a curve. And she said, if people see you going around more than one time and they don't recognize you, although we've lived in that neighborhood for 28 years, she and my daughter just said, would you please just not do it? Could you find another way to exercise? It's an emotional response to the fact that I've got to double check, I've got to look, things I've got to do, things that we've been trained to do, because we need others to step up with us. And courage is not just inspirational, but it's actionable. Who's stepping up to help to make a difference? And so after I wrote Justified Anger, an article in the Cap Times 10 years ago, I talked about Madison failing as a black community. I talked about the tenets of Dr. King and what he wanted, and what he hoped, and how he wished that we would be better. I said that there are 2 things that I need. Because I want to pay the price of hope, I'm going to do something about anger, and I'm going to do something about courage. In terms of anger, and I don't mean being mad, but I mean being hurt and fearful, we created a black emerging leadership program that we would take young leaders and take them through several months of training, having mentors, talk to them, and we would have their jobs nominate them to be a part of this program. And we would give them the skills to be able to survive and thrive in Madison, how to network, and we asked them, please don't leave Madison. Become a part of the fabric that's creating new solutions, so that we're not just asked to rubber stamp something that someone else has designed. We need your black brilliance to help us to create solutions. We don't need this done for us. Let's design it. We need it to be done with us. But then the other side of it, and I got a lot of pushback for this. Get ready to clutch your pearls. I decided to create something for our non-black allies, primarily white, but anyone who's non-black, a U.S. Black History course for New Day. Yeah, this is before all the CRT stuff. And so I created this using tenured faculty at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I asked for a non-political, historically correct program, a lesson that would just help us to understand how we got to this place of division. And I said, I just need you to bring your academic acumen. I just need you to bring your scholarship. And I just want people to understand how we got here, because if they understood how we got here, I think we'd be more strategic in dismantling it. Because we have to have the courage to not just celebrate King for one day, but to dismantle the things that destroyed his heart the other 364 days. That we have to have the courage to do this. My funders challenged me. They said, why aren't you out helping your people, creating programs for the little black kids needing to read? Why do you have teachers and doctors and judges and lawyers and elected officials up here in your auditorium teaching them, black history? They said, because they get it. And I said, well-intentioned people who think they get it are often the problem. And so I want to educate them. Fast forward, 5,000 people have completed this course. 5,000, and let me tell you, it starts in February and it goes through spring break. And so you know what happens in Wisconsin in February. 2 hours once a week for 9 weeks. 18 hours attendance and completion was at 84%. When COVID hit, people took it online, and we went from having only 270 per cohort to 1,700. As people, yeah, that's worth the applause. But listen, it wasn't beating people up. It wasn't saying you're bad. It was to bring them along. And I started the course with this quote from James Baldwin, who said in 1964, whatever it is that white America does not know about black people and the black experience, they really don't know about themselves. And so people who came to the course because they wanted to learn about what happened to black people, by the third lecture, this is religious school, so I can't cuss in here, right? It's okay. By the third week, they're like, shit! What happened? What was said? What was done? I have a history degree. I didn't know. The Harlem Renaissance? Wait a minute. Black universe. They didn't know. Then they got upset. They said, who messed with our history? We didn't know. We would have believed differently. We would have acted differently. Because we didn't know true American history, we didn't understand. And what happened with those 5,000 folks who went through this history experience? They started saying, they wanted to ask, what do I do? Just tell me. But they knew better than to do that. So I said, please don't do that. And so what happens, they started creating their own entities. One of our judges created a program so that every judge for continuing education credit in the state of Wisconsin had to go through an overview of U.S. black history. Every judge. Except for one county, but I won't tell you which county that was. Others said, I want to do something for the criminal justice system. And so we don't know enough to really help people in court, but we read that if you just sit in court with people, their outcomes will be better. So they created the Court Observers Program because they weren't ready to be advocates, although they liked the title, they wanted that badge. But they weren't ready, so they said, we're just going to breathe and we're going to be just court observers. We're going to sit in court and just listen and take notes. We're going to collect data and just sort of watch. After about the third week of observing, guess what they said? Shit! They've captured 11,000 court case records. Not collect records that have happened. They have, as a group of our volunteers who went through the history class, collected 11,000 pages of notes, 50% of which were cases on black people in court. No one has a greater group of information and data on court experiences in Dane County by Dane County Circuit judges for black people than our volunteers, and nobody told them to do it. But once they learned history, they said, what can I do? What can I do? I know what I can do. And they stepped up and organized themselves and became a part of the solution. The cost to hope is that you can't ask people, tell me what to do. The cost of hope is you can't believe that it's already fixed. The cost of hope is that you got to understand you lose something if I'm not fully who I'm supposed to be. The cost of hope is that we all benefit. It'll strengthen our workforce. We won't have to pay as much money on dementia services and programs and medicines. We will have people live longer, more fruitful lives, that we all benefit. We stand to be a stronger nation in the world economy, but we are so divided that we have lost our place and that we become weakened because we have not worked together. It has crippled our nation's conscience. It has crippled our reputation in the global market. It has crippled our abilities to be strong. And my plea is not just for people to like me because I'm black. I want people to work with me because you love yourself and realize that you can't be fully you until I'm fully myself. And I can't fully be myself until I'm fully yourself. And let me tell you something, just in case you're wondering about it. Oh shoot, I got one more minute.
Take your time.
I think everyone should celebrate their culture. So if anybody just thinks, well, what if I celebrated, white history? First of all, you really don't want to be white. I don't mean that culturally. I don't mean that as a sly. I mean, if you want to celebrate being Norwegian, I'm from Wisconsin. I got you. I got a little Norwegian in me. If you want to celebrate being British, if you want to celebrate, we're cool with that. But what happens is because you've not learned American history, white people don't even know that you're really not white, that that's a social construct. That is not an ethnic group. You are not from Whitetonia. And so the reason why it's hard for you to understand why we want to celebrate our culture is because you lost your ability to celebrate yours like your grandmama didn't, because she had culture. Tell me what she ate, tell me what she wore, tell me how she cooked, and I'll tell you what her culture was. But somewhere, America enticed your great-great-grandparents to say, if you just be white and forget about being German and Irish and Romanian, just forget about it, you get to wear the team that says U.S. You get all kind of benefits, and no matter what happens, hell or high water, you can say, at least I'm not black. And people of European descent took it hook, line, and sinker. Ask people today who are of European descent, how do you identify culturally? I'm just American. Ask your grandmama and great-grandmama, she will tell you, I'm from, and tell you the region and the province and all those with great pride. But unless you know history, you don't even know that you were robbed in order to be a part of the problem so that this thing wouldn't get fixed. The last thing I want to say is because I've been engaging the non-black community, when I said we need space to celebrate culture, we need space for black plays and presentation, we need space like this in Madison. We need things so we can have our comics and our heads of state and to celebrate the rich Pan-African culture from those who are African, Caribbean, those who identify as Afro-Latino and African-American, to celebrate, to have space for innovation and leadership development, and a place where we can tell our stories and train our kids in STEAM and STEM education and music and foreign language and build great leadership. And so when I cast this vision, and I've listened to over 700 black people to ask them, how do we keep King's dream alive? What do we need? They said, we need cultural space to tell our story of resilience and not just our stories of being broken and being descendants of slaves. We want to talk about our resilience that kept us sane, kept us strong, kept us together. We want to celebrate the black greatness across the state of Wisconsin. We put this out to the universe and found out from my business plan developer who did the business plan for the Smithsonian, nothing like this exists in the country that focuses on black innovation, black leadership development, and black artistic expression. In 2 years, I was able to create an entity where the black community would shape this vision, and our non-black partners helped me raise $25 million in 2 years. Wow. We're working together. It was something that they created and that we rubber stamped. We're breaking ground this summer on a 37,000 square foot facility that's going to help to preserve the story of black legacy, black perseverance, black brilliance. Because if we don't have a place to go and hunker and tell our stories and teach it to our next generation and teach people that the cost of hope is excellence, we will have another generation of black leaders who will die too early because of degenerative diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and dementia. I believe in black thriving, black health, and black joy. The letter from Birmingham jail that Dr. King wrote stated clearly, this is why we can't wait. We can't afford it, and America can't afford it. Whatever the cost of hope is, America had better dump its pride and arrogance and find a way to finance that cost, because it shouldn't cost us our black lives and health to be black and successful in Wisconsin. If you want to be a part of the solution, and I know that you do, educate, donate, affiliate. Learn what's going on in the issues. Give to the issues that are make a difference, being led by people who know how to create the solution. I'm speaking code, but you know what I mean. I found that in Madison, folks like to pay white consultants to talk about race and then call their black friends and ask for free advice. Black people say amen up in here. Okay. So the call to action is to please let this day last and linger all year long. This is a beautiful community. You're a beautiful group of folks. This is beautiful space. Let this be the beginning of something great. Let's not think that merely reflecting on one speech is enough. King was not killed because he said, I have a dream. He started protesting the Vietnam War. He started talking about economics and poor people. They found out that, oh my gosh, he's not a black leader. He's leading anybody that'll listen. And they found out that he was a leader and he was dangerous. So if we are going to celebrate him, let's celebrate the dangerousness of his message, the appropriateness of his message, and let's be willing to pay the cost of hope. Let's get our hands dirty. Let's find our way into the problem. Let's be a part of the solution, and let's say that on our watch in this generation, we carried out the legacy that was started by my mother's generation and her mother's generation and her mother's generation before her. Let's let King propel us forward and not draw us back. Thank you so much, Viterbo and the cross. Thank you so much. Sorry, Dr. Tratley, for swearing on your stage.
You're not the first.
Oh, okay.
We have time for just a couple of questions, and Dr. G has graciously agreed to answer a couple of questions. He'll also be available after this event out in the lobby if you want to meet him. But do we have anybody with a question? Just stand up and shout out your question. It's kind of hard to see. Right here. Let me repeat that. If Martin Luther King Jr. were alive today, what would he think of celebrations that are going on today?
I think he probably would be embarrassed with the attention because he didn't know who he was at the time. He really was trying to come behind other leaders. That was not his goal. But also I think that he would be appalled at the farce that it's become. And I love the celebration. But it's hard to think about celebrating someone and then not understanding their message and their ideology. Like, what are we really celebrating? Just another day off from work? And so I think he would say, if you really want to follow me, then let's follow what I stood for. But you can't hear the message, see the issues, and sit back in your recliner. Who is this? The great poet, Jill Heron Scott, who said the revolution will not be televised. You're going to have to get up and do something. And I think looking at the preponderance of nothing that's happening would break his heart.
Time for one more question. Yeah, right here.
Was anything ever done with the court notes that were collected, the information that the people observed?
We're still processing how to do that. They are analyzing it, and we're going to be offering a presentation of the data to our broader community. You know that the courts want to get their hands on that data real bad. And so I think we're purposely dragging it out because they know we have it. And a few times they've said, who are you and what are you doing here? And they said, we're from Nehemiah's Justified Anger Initiative. And so eventually the judges would invite the court reporters, the court advocates down to talk with them. So we're not exactly sure what type of report will be written or how we'll use that. We need to see how we might work with some academic institutions to see how we might partner in publishing it and do something with it. But it's really interesting data, and it actually demystifies why it is that black people are 5% of Wisconsin state population and 50% of its prison population. They bring a whole lot of insight by merely just taking notes on what's said and how things happen.
One more time, give a hand for Dr. G.
Thank you so much, Noah.
As we conclude the celebration of Martin Luther King Jr. and his enduring impact, may we carry his vision forward. Let us be catalysts for positive change, champions of equality, and advocates for justice. Together we can build a future where his dream truly becomes a reality for all. Thank you for joining us in this meaningful tribute. Let's also take this time to thank our donors for their kindness, their generosity, and for being a part of Dr. King's dream. I'd like to thank the Mayfield Experience, Viterbo Community Choir, and Judy, tonight's pianist. Thank you all for your contributions. At this moment, I would like to invite Imaya, Will, and their families to the stage, as well as the Planning Committee, along with the Viterbo Community Concert Choir, as we sing our national anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. conclude this evening's event, I invite you all to make your way into the lobby. We have some refreshments and some of our local nonprofit organizations there to meet you all. Thank you.